Hey folks, so it's January 13th. I just wanted to check in with everybody as we go into the weekend. We are finishing up Module 1, so we're going to learning about all things important about the internet and operating systems. Some of the big things to remember about the internet is in like the big picture of everything, the internet is very, very new. We're picking up what the internet can do in terms of um, possibilities. And I say that because, 2023, 30 years ago, um, email was unheard of. Um, Back when I was an undergraduate at Florida State, I graduated in 94 with my bachelor's degree. Back then, Florida State didn't even think that an English major would need internet access. If you wanted internet access, you had to be a computer science major, you had to be a math major, you had to be an engineering major. Administration just thought, well, why would an English major ever need internet access? Um, and the first time I ever got on the internet, it just blew my mind because I'm in Tallahassee, Florida, in a chat room. I'm talking Doctor Who with a guy who was online from London, England. We're talking in real time. And so for me, that just absolutely blew my mind. If we think about email, I remember if you Google Today Show email, I think it's 1994, you can see a clip of Brian Gumbel talking with his producers because NBC had just created an online presence for their shows. He's like, what is this email thing? This A with the circle around it. What does that do? Can somebody tell me what is that? Um, if you think about the way email transformed how we communicate, before email, if I wanted to send a message to somebody, I had to sit down, I had to write it, I had to address it, I had to stamp it, I had to put it in my mailbox, wait for the carrier to come by, or take it to the post office, wait for it to get routed to its destination, whether it was across town, across the country, across the world. Once it arrived there, had to get unpacked, had to get sorted, had to get put onto the route, the carrier had to take it to its destination. So in some cases, sending across the state might take a day or two, across the country, maybe a couple days, across the world, maybe more. But now when we send via email, we hit that button and it's there within seconds. So that's one of the ways that the internet has really kind of transformed the way that we live in. Another way is visual communication. The fact that not only am I making a video for you to watch right now, but if I wanted to talk to somebody in video in real time, see them, hear them, that was something that 40 years ago was science fiction. And I say that because in January of 1985, I rented a VHS cassette of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and there's a very early in the film we see the scene where the Pan Am space shuttle, instead of a 747, 757, an airplane, a space shuttle is going up to the moon. We see the flight attendants with their little Velcro shoes. The space food, they have to suck it on the straw because no solids. But then the shuttle arrives, and one of the characters gets out, and before he checks into his hotel room, he steps into a phone booth, and he makes a video call to his daughter back on Earth. Now, for me in 1985, that was science fiction. But, here we are, 38 years later, I got it in my hand. If I want to talk to my mom, I can make a video call to my mom, my dad, my family. So the internet is still a very new thing. It's like, we're kind of learning what we can do with it now and what's going to happen with it in the future. It's going to be huge. So keep that in mind. When you're learning about the internet, this is really still kind of an infant technology. The other big thing that I just wanted to reflect on very quickly, operating systems. So when we think about the operating system, think to watching a Marvel movie. Think to the character Iron Man. When we see the first Iron Man film, Tony Stark, he's injured. He has this super magnet that's keeping these metal fragments out of his heart, killing him. And he builds this suit of armor, this big clunky, the Mark I, the suit of armor. He's got some flamethrowers on it, and we see him escape. And then he gets back home, and he starts using all of his assets to really create this modernized, sleek suit of armor. And he gets to the point, it's like, well, okay, back when I was in the Middle East, I had to pull levers and switches to make the flamethrowers do everything, and I just can't do that. So he has his smart home, Jarvis, download into the suit. Jarvis becomes the operating system for the Iron Man armor. And if you watch the movies, anytime we see Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit, whether it's Jarvis or later Friday, we see the face him. Jarvis, I need this. Jarvis, I need power increased. Jarvis, I need de-ice the armor. Tony doesn't do that. So Tony gives the command, and Jarvis does that with the hardware. That's what your operating system does. So you could use command line language to go into the file system and open a file. You could, if you really wanted to, push things into the memory. If you look at old computers, punch cards, stacks of punch cards, and they all had to be put in order. If a single punch card was out of order, the program wasn't going to work. It could be done, but now we've got the operating system. The operating system does that for us. So now when we want to get a file, all we do is we click on the File Explorer. The File Explorer comes up. We navigate our way down to the file, and we open it. So that's what your operating system does. Now, I say that because one big thing to keep in mind is operating systems can only run software created for them. And I'm going to kind of close out here. Back in 2014 or 2015, I was working a help desk at a community college, and we had a student come in, and she had just bought her first laptop, and she was really proud. She was I got a deal on this. This was cheap. This was $200, and she wanted Microsoft Office installed on it. The problem was she bought a Chromebook, and Chrome OS will not run Microsoft Office. So it's kind of like learning a language. Chrome OS could not speak the coding language that Windows uses for Microsoft Office. So that's one of the big things to understand about the operating system. That's why it's important to know your operating system, because if you ever have to buy software, if you're running a MacBook, for example, you need to buy software that's coded for Mac OS. Likewise, if you're running Windows, you need to get software that's coded for Windows. You can't run Mac software on a Windows book, and vice versa. So, folks, we're going to close out for right now. The next module will open up on Sunday, and I'll kind of do a quick briefing for you all. If you ever need me, please reach out. I am here. I want to help. I want to know what's on your mind. I want to know if everything is okay. Please reach out. Stay in touch. Have a fantastic and safe weekend, and I will see you all Sunday.